Hello everyone, welcome to English R&L *. I'm Natasha and here we upload new videos every day to help you improve your English skills step by step. Today we focus on intermediate English listening practice. This episode will help you improve your English speaking skills fast and boost your comprehension. Let's begin with a story. Last week I met my friend Michael. He told me how he practiced speaking English every day and it helped him a lot. Michael works as a teacher and his job requires him to communicate clearly with his students and colleagues. He said that the best way to improve speaking is to listen carefully first. Michael explained that every morning he spends 15 minutes listening to English podcasts like this one. Then he repeats some sentences aloud, trying to copy the pronunciation and intonation exactly. He told me that repeating phrases helps his mouth get used to the sounds of English. It also builds his confidence to speak in real conversations. He gave me an example of a conversation he had with his colleague Sarah. Sarah asked him about the weekend plans. Michael listened carefully to her questions and replied clearly. He used simple but correct sentences like, "I will visit my wife's family this weekend," and "we enjoy spending time together." Sarah was happy with his answers and they had a good talk. Michael also shared a useful tip. When you listen, try to understand the main ideas first, not every single word. For example, if someone says, "I am planning to go hiking on Saturday because I love nature," you do not need to know every word to understand the meaning. You can say, "They want to go hiking because they like nature." Now, let me share a small story from my own experience. When I started learning English, I was nervous about speaking. I remember a time when I had to explain directions to a visitor in my town. At first, I was confused, but I listened carefully to the visitor's questions and took my time to answer slowly and clearly. I said, "Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left at the bank." The visitor smiled and thanked me. That moment gave me confidence to speak more often. To improve your comprehension, you can try this exercise. Listen to short English conversations or stories. Then pause and repeat what you heard in your own words. This helps your brain understand and remember new words and sentence structures. Remember, improving English speaking is not about being perfect. It is about practicing regularly and being patient with yourself. Michael told me that making mistakes is part of learning. The important thing is to keep speaking and listening every day. Before we finish today's episode, here is a quick challenge for you. Find a short English audio or video. Listen carefully and write down 3 new phrases you hear. Then use those phrases in your own sentences and try to speak them aloud. One morning, I was walking in the park when I met my old friend David. David is originally from Canada and he speaks English very clearly. We started talking about how he learned to improve his English speaking skills quickly. He said that one important thing for him was to practice speaking in everyday situations, even simple ones. David told me about a day when he had to buy groceries at a local store. First, he felt nervous because he was worried about making mistakes. But he reminded himself that everyone makes mistakes when learning a language. So, he focused on listening carefully to the shop assistant's questions. The assistant asked, "Do you want a bag?" David understood and replied confidently, "Yes, please." Then he asked about the price of apples. This small conversation helped David feel more comfortable speaking English in public. I remember when I first tried this method. One day, I needed to ask for help at a post office. The clerk asked, "What do you want to send?" I listened carefully. and answered, "I want to send a package to my husband." I was proud that I could say it clearly. The clerk smiled and helped me quickly. That experience showed me that speaking English in real life is not about perfect grammar. It is about understanding and communicating. Later that week, David shared another useful tip with me. He said it is important to listen to different English accents. For example, sometimes he listens to people from the United States, sometimes from the United Kingdom, and sometimes from Australia. This variety helps him understand English better in many situations. When you listen to different accents, your brain learns to recognize the same words spoken in different ways. For example, the word water can sound very different depending on the accent. David practiced by repeating sentences with different accents. This practice helped him speak more clearly and understand English speakers from many countries. I tried David's advice, too. I listened to news reports from different English-speaking countries online. At first, it was difficult to understand some accents, but after a few days, my listening skills improved. Now, I feel more confident when I meet new people who speak English differently. Another story I want to share is about my friend Emma. Emma is a nurse and her job requires her to speak English with patients from many countries. She told me that she practices by imagining conversations before they happen. For example, before a workday, she thinks about the questions patients might ask, like, "Where does it hurt?" or "Do you have any allergies?" Then she practices answering those questions in English. Emma said this preparation helps her feel less nervous. When the real conversation happens, she knows what to say and can speak clearly. I tried this method myself before an important meeting. I wrote down some questions I might be asked and practiced my answers aloud. On the day of the meeting, I was calm and spoke well. This shows that practice and preparation are keys to improving English speaking. I also want to share a tip about vocabulary. When I learn new words, I try to use them in sentences right away. For example, last month I learned the word appointment. Instead of just memorizing it, I said to myself, "I have an appointment with the doctor tomorrow." Using new words like this helps me remember them better and use them naturally when I speak. Point 1 afternoon, I visited my friend John. John is an engineer and often works with international teams. He told me that speaking English clearly is not only about words but also about body language. John said that when he speaks, he tries to keep eye contact and use simple gestures to help explain his ideas. John gave me an example from his work. Once he was explaining a technical problem to his team. Some words were difficult, but he used his hands to show the size of the parts and the direction of the movement. His team understood him better because of his gestures, even if some words were hard to follow. I tried this, too. When I explain something, I use my hands or facial expressions to help my listener understand. This makes communication easier and more effective, especially when speaking English as a second language. Another important skill David mentioned is asking for clarification. Sometimes when you don't understand something, it is okay to say, "Could you please repeat that?" or "Can you say it more slowly?" David shared a story where he did this at a meeting. At first, he felt embarrassed, but the others appreciated his honesty and repeated the information slowly. This helped him understand better and join the discussion confidently. I remember a similar moment when I traveled to a new city. I asked a taxi driver for directions, but I did not understand his fast English. I said, "Sorry, can you say that again, please?" He smiled and repeated it slowly. That helped me a lot. Asking for help is part of learning and should not be scary. To build your listening skills, try listening to English conversations in real life or online. For example, you can listen to people talking in English at a market, in a cafe, or at work. Try to focus on the main ideas and key words. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. The more you listen, the better you get. One day, I practiced listening while walking. I put on my earphones and listened to a podcast about travel. The speaker talked about visiting different countries and meeting new people. I focused on the speaker's words and repeated some sentences aloud. This helped me improve both my listening and speaking at the same time. Before we move forward, here is a small exercise for you. Listen to a short English story or conversation. Then try to tell the story in your own words. You don't need to use the exact words, just the main ideas. This exercise helps your brain practice understanding and speaking naturally. Now, I want to tell you about a challenge I had last month. I attended a meeting where people spoke very fast. At first, I could not understand much, but I did not give up. I listened carefully, took notes, and after the meeting, I asked my colleague for explanations about the parts one missed. Then, I practiced by listening to similar topics at home. After a few days, I was able to follow faster conversations better. This showed me that patience and practice really work. Finally, I want to remind you that everyone learns at their own pace. Don't compare yourself to others. The important thing is to practice regularly, speak with confidence, and keep improving. English is a skill that grows with time and effort. Recently, I had a chance to visit a new city with my husband. Traveling gave me many opportunities to practice speaking and listening in English. One morning, we wanted to take a bus to the city center. At the bus stop, I noticed a man who looked friendly, so I decided to ask him for help. I said, "Excuse me, does this bus go to the city center?" The man smiled and replied, "Yes, it does. It will arrive in about 10 minutes. I thanked him and waited. This simple conversation gave me confidence because I used clear, polite English and understood his answer. Later, while on the bus, I wanted to buy a ticket, but wasn't sure how. I looked around and saw a woman near the driver. I asked her, "Can I buy a ticket here?" She nodded and said, "Yes, just tell the driver." I went to the driver and said, "One ticket to the city center, please." The driver gave me the ticket. And I smiled. This small interaction helped me practice speaking English in a real situation. After we arrived, my husband and I walked around and visited a cafe. I ordered coffee by saying, "Can I have a cup of coffee, please?" The waiter smiled and asked, "Would you like milk or sugar?" I answered, "Milk, please." This experience made me realize that practicing polite questions and answers helps make everyday conversations easier. On the way back to the hotel, I saw a small bookstore and decided to go inside. I spoke with the shop owner, Mr. Lewis. I asked him, "Do you have books for learning English?" He showed me several books and explained a bit about each one. I listened carefully and asked which one is best for intermediate learners. He recommended a few and I bought a book. Talking with Mr. Lewis helped me practice asking questions and understanding answers. It also showed me the importance of preparing questions in advance to use during conversations. Another time I was helping my husband prepare for a job interview. He needed to answer common interview questions in English. We practiced together at home. I asked him, "Why do you want this job?" He replied, "I want this job because I like the company's values and I want to improve my skills." I gave him feedback on his pronunciation and sentence structure. This practice made him more confident for the real interview. Afterward, he told me, "Thank you for helping me. I felt calm during the interview because I practiced the answers." This showed me how practicing speaking with someone else can improve your English quickly. I also want to share a story about my friend Anna. Anna moved to an English-speaking country last year. She told me she struggled at first to understand fast speakers. To improve, Anna started listening to English radio every day while cooking or cleaning. She said, "At first, I couldn't understand much, but after a few weeks, I started recognizing words and phrases." Anna also practices speaking by telling her husband about her day in English. She says, "This helps me use new words and practice grammar." Anna's story taught me that combining listening and speaking practice every day helps build strong English skills. One morning, I decided to try a new way of learning. I recorded myself speaking about my weekend plans. I said things like, "On Saturday, I will visit my parents. We will have lunch together." Then I listened to the recording and noticed some words I could say more clearly. I practiced those parts again. Recording yourself is a great way to hear your own mistakes and improve your pronunciation. It also helps you become more confident. When speaking English, I also remember a time when I went to a bank to open an account. The bank officer asked me many questions. I listened carefully and answered, "I want to open a savings account." When she asked for my ID, I said, "Here is my passport." The officer explained some rules, and I tried to understand and ask questions if I was confused. This experience showed me how important it is to prepare simple sentences for important tasks like banking, shopping, or going to the doctor. Preparing helps you feel ready and speak clearly. Another story I want to share is about my neighbor Mark. Mark is from England and speaks English very clearly. He told me that when he was learning another language, he practiced every day for 30 minutes. Mark said, "Consistency is the key. Even if you practice a little every day, you improve a lot." Inspired by Mark, I set a schedule to practice English every morning for 20 minutes. I read short articles aloud, listened to podcasts, and practiced speaking about simple topics like food, weather, or daily routines. This daily habit helped me improve faster than I expected. One afternoon, I went to a community event where people from different countries spoke English. I met a man named Peter who was from Australia. Peter had a different accent, but I listened carefully and asked him to repeat some words when I didn't understand. Peter said, "Don't be afraid to ask people to repeat or explain. It's part of learning." I agreed and asked, "Can you say that again, please?" He repeated and I understood better. This made me realize that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a smart way to learn. At home, I also practice English by writing short notes to myself. For example, I write reminders like, "buy milk" or "call the doctor." Writing helps me remember words and improve my grammar. Later, I say the notes aloud to practice pronunciation. My husband helps me a lot, too. Sometimes we have simple conversations in English about cooking or plans for the weekend. He listens carefully and corrects my mistakes gently. Practicing with someone you trust makes learning English more enjoyable. I also started using flashcards with new vocabulary words. Each day I review 5 new words and try to use them in sentences. For example, if I learn the word appointment, I say, "I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow." Using flashcards helps me remember and speak new words more easily. Point one day I had to explain a problem with my internet at a service center. I said, "My internet connection is slow and often stops." The technician understood and helped me fix the problem. This made me realize how important it is to learn vocabulary related to daily life problems. To practice listening skills, I also try to predict what someone will say next in a conversation. For example, if a person says, "I like to eat healthy food," I think the next sentence might be about vegetables or exercise. Predicting helps me focus and understand better when I listen. Another useful tip comes from my friend James, who told me that learning common phrases helps in daily conversations. He practices phrases like, "Can you help me?" or "How much does this cost?" Knowing these phrases makes speaking easier and faster. I use this advice often when I go shopping or meet new people. I use simple phrases I have practiced. This helps me speak naturally without thinking too much. Point one morning I practiced describing my favorite food. I said, "My favorite food is pasta because it is tasty and easy to cook." Describing things you like is a great way to practice speaking English. Finally, I want to share that learning English is a journey. Some days are easier than others, but every time you speak, listen, or practice, you get better. Keep trying, and soon you will see great results. A few days ago, I had to visit the city hall to renew my ID card. It was my first time going there alone, so I felt a little nervous about speaking English with the staff. When I arrived, the receptionist greeted me and asked, "How can I help you today?" I replied, "I want to renew my ID card, please." She gave me a form and explained what I needed to do next. I listened carefully and asked, "Can you please explain how to fill out this form?" She kindly walked me through the questions and I filled out the paper step by step. When I wasn't sure about a word, I asked her to repeat or explain it more slowly. Using simple sentences and asking questions made the process easier for me. After submitting the form, I had to wait for my turn. While waiting, I spoke with another person, Mr. James. We talked about the weather and shared some small stories about our families. I said, "I like sunny days because I can walk in the park." Mr. James smiled and said, "I agree. Sunshine makes me feel happy." This short conversation gave me more confidence to speak English with strangers. On my way home, I stopped at a pharmacy to buy medicine for my husband. The pharmacist asked, "What kind of medicine do you need?" I answered, "I need medicine for a headache." She gave me some options and explained how to take the medicine. I listened carefully and said, "Thank you for your help." This experience taught me the importance of learning simple health-related vocabulary. One day, my friend Olivia invited me to join her for a community volunteer event. We helped clean a local park and talked with other volunteers. Olivia told me that speaking English with different people helps improve listening skills. She was right because during the event I practiced asking questions like, "How often do you come here?" and answering questions about myself. Olivia also suggested that I try to speak more slowly and clearly. She said, "It is better to speak clearly than quickly. People understand you better when you speak slowly." I practiced this advice and noticed that others listened to me more carefully. Speaking clearly also helped me feel less nervous. Another time I went to a restaurant with my husband. I had to order food in English. When the waiter came, I said, "Can I have the chicken salad, please?" The waiter asked, "Would you like something to drink?" I replied, "Yes, a glass of water, please." After the meal, I said, "Thank you. The food was delicious." This experience helped me practice polite expressions. At home, I like to describe my daily activities to practice speaking. For example, I say, "This morning, I cooked breakfast and watered the plants." Speaking about simple things helps me use common vocabulary and build confidence. It also helps me prepare for real conversations. My husband and I sometimes play a game to practice English. We take turns asking each other questions like, "What is your favorite season?" or "What do you like to do on weekends?" Answering these questions helps me think in English and speak more naturally. One afternoon, I received a call from my doctor's office. The receptionist asked me to confirm my appointment. I listened carefully and replied, "Yes, my appointment is on Friday at 10 a.m. This call helped me practice understanding spoken English on the phone, which can be difficult without seeing the person. I also remember a time when I needed to ask for directions on the street. I approached a man and asked, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the nearest bank?" He gave me clear instructions and I thanked him. This small interaction showed me that asking questions politely helps in daily life and builds speaking skills. Sometimes I write short paragraphs about my day to improve writing and vocabulary. After writing, I read the paragraphs aloud. This practice helps me connect reading, writing, and speaking skills. For example, yesterday I wrote, "I went to the market and bought fresh vegetables. I cooked a healthy dinner for my family." Reading this aloud helped me practice pronunciation and sentence flow. My friend Henry gave me a helpful tip about learning English faster. He said, "Try to think in English instead of translating from your first language." At first, this was difficult for me, but I started by naming objects around me in English and making simple sentences. For example, when I see a chair, I say to myself, "This is a chair. It is comfortable." Thinking in English helped me speak faster and more naturally. It also reduced the time I spent searching for words. Henry also suggested practicing speaking out loud even when you are alone to get used to English sounds and rhythms. Another story I want to share is about a time when I visited a post office. I needed to send a package to my husband's family. I asked the clerk, "How much does it cost to send a package to New York?" She told me the price and I said, "Thank you. I want to send it today." The clerk gave me a receipt and explained when the package would arrive. This experience taught me that knowing vocabulary related to mail and delivery is very useful. It also helped me practice clear and polite communication in a formal setting. One weekend, I joined a walking group for English learners. We walked in the park and talked about simple topics like food, weather, and hobbies. Talking while walking helped me feel more relaxed and speak naturally. I shared that I enjoy gardening and like to grow flowers in my backyard. My walking group leader, Emily, encouraged us to ask questions. She said, "Asking questions keeps the conversation going." I asked one member, "What is your favorite hobby?" She answered and we talked more. This showed me how questions help improve speaking and listening skills. Another time I practiced giving directions to my husband. I said, "Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn right at the traffic light." Practicing directions helps with speaking clearly and using useful vocabulary for everyday life. I also found it helpful to watch how people speak in public places like markets or cafes. I listen to their tone and expressions. For example, when someone says, "Excuse me, can I have a menu?" they sound polite and friendly. Listening to natural conversations helps me improve my speaking style. At home, I keep a notebook where I write new words and phrases I learn every day. I review them regularly and try to use them when I speak. For example, last week I learned the phrase make an appointment. I practice saying, I want to make an appointment with the dentist. I also try to use idioms and common expressions. For example, I learned take it easy, which means to relax. Using expressions like this makes my English sound more natural and interesting. Sometimes I practice English by telling stories about my life. I say things like, last summer, I traveled to a new city. I visited many places and met new people. Telling stories helps me practice past tense and descriptive language. I also remind myself to speak slowly and clearly. Speaking too fast can make it harder for others to understand me. Slowing down helps me pronounce words better and gives me time to think. One evening, I helped my husband explain a problem with his work to his supervisor. He needed to say, there is a problem with the machine. It is not working properly. I helped him practice this sentence several times until he felt comfortable saying it. This practice showed me that preparing sentences before important conversations helps reduce nervousness and improve speaking skills. I also learned that listening carefully is very important. When I don't understand, I try to listen again or ask politely for repetition. For example, I say, could you please repeat that? Or, can you speak more slowly? Asking for help shows that you want to understand and learn. My friend Laura told me that practicing speaking with a partner helps a lot. We sometimes practice conversations together. She plays the role of a customer and I play the role of a shop assistant. Practicing roles like this helps me prepare for real conversations. One day I practiced describing a picture. I said, in this picture, there is a family sitting at a table. They are eating dinner together. Describing pictures helps practice vocabulary and speaking skills. I also try to think about how I can use new words in different sentences. For example, if I learn the word appointment, I say I have an appointment with the doctor and I need to make an appointment for a haircut. This helps me remember and use new vocabulary better. Sometimes I practice speaking about my daily routine. I say, I wake up at 7 a.m., eat breakfast, and go to work. Talking about daily routines helps me practice common verbs and sentence structures. One afternoon, I went shopping and asked the shopkeeper, how much does this cost? He told me the price, and I said, thank you. Practicing polite questions and answers helps in everyday life. I also found it helpful to practice pronunciation by reading aloud. I read short paragraphs from books or articles and focus on pronouncing each word clearly. Another story I want to share is about a time when I helped a neighbor who needed to explain a problem to a doctor. I listened to her and helped her say, I have a stomach ache. This made me realize how important it is to know simple health-related phrases. At home, I sometimes talk to myself in English. I describe what I am doing or plan to do. This helps me practice speaking without pressure. Finally, I remind myself to be patient. Learning a language takes time and effort. Every day I try to practice a little and slowly my English gets better. A few weeks ago, I decided to join a local library to improve my English reading and listening skills. When I went to the library for the first time, I had to speak with the librarian, Mrs. Thompson. She asked, do you want to get a library card? I replied, yes, please. I want to borrow books to improve my English. Mrs. Thompson gave me a form and explained the rules in simple English. I listened carefully and asked, "How many books can I borrow at once?" She answered, "You can borrow up to 5 books for 2 weeks." This short conversation helped me practice asking questions and understanding answers. At the library, I found many interesting books with simple language for learners like me. I borrowed a book about gardening because I enjoy planting flowers at home. Each day I read a few pages aloud. Reading aloud helped me practice pronunciation and made me feel more confident speaking English. One afternoon I attended an English speaking club at the library. The group leader, Mr. Roberts, asked each person to talk about their favorite hobby. When it was my turn, I said, "My favorite hobby is gardening. I like to grow flowers and vegetables." Other members asked me questions like, "What kind of flowers do you grow?" and "How often do you water your plants?" I answered as best as I could. Talking about familiar topics made me feel comfortable and helped me practice new vocabulary. After the meeting, I spoke with another member named Lisa. She told me she practices English by writing short stories about her life. Lisa said, "Writing helps me organize my thoughts and learn new words." I decided to try this too. I started writing simple stories about my daily activities like cooking or shopping. Then I read them aloud to practice speaking. One morning I needed to explain a problem with my phone to a service technician. I said, "My phone does not charge properly." The technician asked, "When did the problem start?" I answered, "It started 2 days ago." This conversation helped me practice speaking about problems clearly and listening to questions. Another day, I went to a local market to buy vegetables. The seller asked, "How many tomatoes do you want?" I replied, "I want 2 kilograms of tomatoes, please." I also asked, "How much is 1 kilogram?" The seller told me the price and I said, "Thank you." This simple exchange helped me practice numbers and polite questions. At home, I practice English with my husband. We take turns asking and answering questions about our day. For example, I ask, "What did you do at work today?" He answers, "I attended a meeting and worked on a project." Practicing questions and answers helps me think in English and speak more naturally. One day, I had to make a phone call to schedule a meeting with my husband's doctor. I said, "Hello, I would like to make an appointment for my husband." The receptionist asked for details and I answered politely. After the call, I felt proud because I used clear and simple English to communicate important information. Another useful practice is describing pictures or photos. I looked at a photo of a park and said, "There are many trees and flowers. People are walking and sitting on benches." Describing pictures helps me practice vocabulary and sentence structure. Also learn that repeating sentences helps improve pronunciation. When I hear a new sentence, I listen carefully and repeat it several times. This helps me speak more clearly and remember new words. My friend Michael told me that using flashcards is helpful. He makes cards with English words on one side and the meaning in his language on the other. Every day he reviews the cards and tries to use the words in sentences. I started making flashcards too and it helps me learn vocabulary faster. One afternoon, I joined a cooking class where the teacher spoke English. I listened to her instructions and followed them step by step. When I didn't understand a word, I asked her to explain. This experience showed me that learning English while doing activities I enjoy makes practice more fun. I also practice listening by paying attention to announcements in public places. For example, at the train station, I listen for information about train arrivals and departures. This helps me improve my ability to understand spoken English in real situations. At home, I sometimes practice speaking by imagining conversations. For example, I pretend to order food in a restaurant or ask for directions. This helps me prepare for real-life situations. Another helpful tip is to learn common English phrases used in daily life. For example, phrases like, "How are you?" "Thank you," and "Can you help me?" are useful in many situations. I practice these phrases until I can say them confidently. One day, I helped my neighbor explain a problem to a delivery person. I listened and helped say, "The package is missing." The delivery person checked and found the package. This made me realize how important it is to know simple words and sentences to solve problems. Sometimes I practice asking for help politely. When I don't understand something, I say, "Could you please explain?" or "Can you say that again?" This helps me learn and shows others I want to understand. I also like to practice describing my daily routine. For example, I say, "I wake up at 7, eat breakfast, and go to work." Talking about routines helps me use common verbs and practice grammar. Another story I want to share is about when I visited a pharmacy to buy medicine. I told the pharmacist, "I have a cold and a headache." The pharmacist gave me medicine and explained how to take it. This experience helped me learn health-related vocabulary. At home, I use a dictionary to learn new words. When I find a word I don't know, I look it up and write the meaning in my notebook. Then I try to use the word in sentences to remember it better. My friend Sarah told me that practicing English with others helps a lot. We sometimes practice conversations together on the phone or in person. Speaking with others helps me learn faster and feel more confident. One day I practiced giving simple directions. I said, "Go straight, then turn left at the traffic light." Practicing directions helps me use common phrases and speak clearly. Also practice pronunciation by listening carefully to native speakers and copying their sounds. I try to match their rhythm and stress in sentences. This helps me sound more natural when I speak. Another useful tip is to keep a language journal. I write about my day, new words I learn, and things I want to improve. Writing regularly helps me organize my thoughts and practice grammar. Sometimes, I watch educational videos with English subtitles to improve listening and reading skills. Reading along with listening helps me understand new words and phrases better. I also try to use English in my daily life as much as possible. For example, when cooking, I name the ingredients and actions in English. Saying, "I am chopping onions," helps me practice vocabulary related to cooking. My husband and I sometimes plan simple conversations in English. We practice how to greet each other, ask questions, and give answers. Practicing with a partner makes learning more enjoyable and effective. One evening, I attended a community meeting where people spoke English. I listened carefully and tried to understand the main ideas. After the meeting, I talked with some members and practiced speaking about the topics discussed. This experience taught me to listen for important information and ask questions when I am not sure. It also showed me the value of practicing speaking in groups. I also practice speaking by telling stories about my childhood or favorite memories. Talking about familiar topics helps me use past tense and descriptive words. At home, I record myself speaking about different topics. Then I listen to the recording and notice areas to improve. Recording helps me hear my mistakes and work on pronunciation. One day, I helped my friend explain a problem with her computer. I said, the computer is slow and often freezes. Helping others practice English makes learning more fun and useful. Also, practice using polite expressions like please, thank you, and excuse me. Using polite language makes conversations friendly and respectful. Sometimes I read English newspapers or articles online. I choose simple texts and learn new words. Reading improves my vocabulary and helps me understand sentence structures. Also practice speaking by asking myself questions like, what do I want to eat today? And answering in English. This helps me think and speak more naturally. One afternoon, I went to a bank to open an account. I spoke with a bank officer and said, I want to open a savings account. The officer explained the process and I listened carefully. This experience taught me how to communicate in formal situations and use specific vocabulary. At home, I practice describing pictures in English. I say, there is a big tree in a small house. Describing pictures helps me practice vocabulary and grammar. My friend David told me that speaking English every day, even for a few minutes, helps a lot. He said, consistency is key. I agree and try to practice every day. Sometimes I practice conversations with my husband about simple topics like food, weather, or hobbies. This helps me speak more fluently and naturally. One day I had to explain a problem with my internet service. I said the internet is slow and disconnects often. The service person understood and helped me. This experience showed me the importance of learning vocabulary related to technology and services. At home, I write new words in a notebook and review them regularly. I try to use these words when I speak or write. I also practice speaking by describing my plans for the day. For example, I will go to the market and buy vegetables. Talking about plans helps me practice future tense. One afternoon, I listened to a radio program about health. I focused on keywords and phrases and repeated some sentences aloud. Listening to radio programs helps improve my listening skills and vocabulary. I also practice speaking by talking about my family. I say, my husband is a teacher. We have 2 children. Talking about family helps me use common words and sentence patterns. Sometimes I practice pronunciation by reading poems or short texts aloud. This helps me with rhythm and stress in English. I also try to use English when I shop. I practice asking, how much is this? And, do you accept credit cards? Using English in real situations helps me learn faster. One day, I helped my neighbor explain a health problem to a doctor. I said, she has a fever and cough. Helping others practice English is rewarding and useful. At home, I sometimes watch instructional videos in English about cooking or gardening. I listen carefully and repeat instructions to practice speaking. I also practice asking for directions politely. I say, excuse me, can you tell me where the nearest bus stop is? Asking questions helps me communicate better. My friend Emily told me that practicing with a partner helps build confidence. We practice conversations together and give each other feedback. Sometimes I write short stories about my day and read them aloud. Writing and speaking together helps me improve faster. I also practice using common phrases like, I'm sorry, thank you very much, and can you help me? These phrases are useful in daily conversations. One afternoon, I went to a market and practiced buying fruits. I said, I would like 3 apples, please. Practicing real-life conversations makes learning enjoyable. At home, I practice describing pictures and scenes. I say, the sky is blue and the grass is green. Describing helps with vocabulary and speaking skills. I also practice listening by paying attention to announcements in public places like airports or train stations. Listening to announcements helps me understand important information in English. Sometimes I speak to myself in English about my plans or feelings. This practice helps me think in English and speak more naturally. I also try to learn new vocabulary every day and use it in sentences. My husband and I practice English together by asking each other questions about daily life. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to try something new to improve my English speaking skills. I joined a local cooking workshop that was held in English. The instructor, Mr. Bennett, spoke clearly and I listened carefully to his instructions. During the workshop, I had to ask questions like, how long should I cook the vegetables? And, what spices do you recommend? Asking questions in English helped me practice speaking naturally and gave me confidence to use English in practical situations. While cooking, I met a woman named Helen. She was also learning English and shared her story with me. Helen told me, I practice speaking every day by describing what I do. She said she talks to herself in English while doing chores like cleaning or washing dishes. I thought this was a great idea, so I started doing the same. For example, when I wash dishes, I say, I am washing the plates. Now I will dry them. Speaking aloud about simple activities helped me practice English without feeling nervous. After the workshop, I went to a nearby cafe. I wanted to order a sandwich and a drink. When the waiter came, I said, can I have a turkey sandwich and a glass of water, please? The waiter smiled and asked, would you like anything else? I replied, no, thank you. This short conversation helped me practice polite requests and answers. At the cafe, I overheard a conversation between two people. They were talking about their jobs and the weather. I listened carefully to understand their main ideas. I noticed that when I focus on the general meaning, I understand better even if I don't know every word. This showed me the importance of listening for the main points, not just individual words. One day, I had to explain a problem with my car to a mechanic. I said, the car makes a strange noise when I start it. The mechanic asked, when did this start? I answered, it started yesterday. Speaking about problems and answering questions helped me practice useful vocabulary. Another time, I went to the grocery store with my husband. I asked the shop assistant, where can I find the bread? He pointed to the shelf and said, it's over there. I thanked him and said, can you tell me the price of this bread? The assistant told me and I said, thank you. These small exchanges helped me practice questions, answers, and polite expressions. At home, I like to practice English by reading simple news articles. I choose articles about daily life like health or food. After reading, I explain the article aloud in my own words. For example, if I read about healthy eating, I say, eating fruits and vegetables is good for health. Explaining helps me practice vocabulary and sentence structure. My friend John suggested that I keep a daily diary in English. I started writing about my day, my feelings, and plans. Then I read the diary aloud. Writing and speaking together helped me remember new words and improve fluency. One afternoon, I went to the bank to ask about opening a savings account. The bank officer asked, do you have any identification? I replied, yes, here is my passport. She explained the process clearly. I listened carefully and asked questions when I didn't understand. For example, I asked, "How much money do I need to open the account?" This experience helped me practice formal language and important vocabulary. Another helpful practice is role-playing. I practiced common situations with my husband. For example, I pretended to be a customer at a restaurant and he was the waiter. I asked, "Can I see the menu, please, and what do you recommend?" Practicing like this helped me prepare for real conversations. I also practice speaking by describing my plans for the week. For example, on Monday, I will visit the doctor. On Wednesday, I have a meeting. Talking about plans helps me use the future tense and common expressions. One day, I helped a neighbor explain a health problem to a pharmacist. I said she has a sore throat and fever. The pharmacist gave advice and medicine. Helping others with English made me feel useful and improved my speaking skills. At home, I practice pronunciation by repeating difficult words several times. I listen to native speakers and try to copy their sounds. This helps me speak more clearly. My friend Emma told me that watching short educational videos with English subtitles helps listening skills. I started doing this too. Reading subtitles while listening makes it easier to understand new words. I also try to use English when I do simple tasks. For example, I name kitchen items while cooking. I am using a knife to cut vegetables. This practice helps me remember vocabulary. 1. Afternoon, I joined a community event where people spoke English. I listened to conversations and tried to understand the main ideas. I also spoke with some people and practiced asking questions like, "Where do you work?" and "What do you like to do in your free time?" Speaking with different people helped me learn new words and gain confidence. I realized that making mistakes is okay because it helps me learn. Sometimes I practice describing pictures from magazines or books. I say, "In this picture, there is a dog playing in the park." Describing pictures helps me practice vocabulary and sentence structure. I also learned that asking for clarification is important. If I don't understand, I say, "Can you please repeat that?" or, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand." Asking for help shows I want to learn and improves communication. 1 morning, I made a phone call to schedule an appointment with the dentist. I said, "Hello, I would like to make an appointment for next Tuesday." The receptionist asked for my details and I answered politely. After the call, I felt proud of my clear English. At home, I practice speaking by talking about my favorite foods. I say, "I like pasta because it is easy to cook." Talking about familiar topics helps me speak confidently. I also use flashcards to learn new words. I write the English word on one side and the meaning on the other. I review them daily and try to use the words in sentences. 1 day I practiced giving directions. I said, "Turn left at the corner, then go straight for 2 blocks." Practicing directions helps me use common phrases and speak clearly. I also practice speaking by imagining conversations. For example, I pretend to order food or ask for help. This preparation makes real conversations easier. My husband and I sometimes practice simple dialogues. We greet each other, ask about the day, and say goodbye. Practicing dialogues helps me learn common phrases. 1 afternoon, I listened to a radio program about health. I focused on important words and phrases and repeated some sentences aloud. Listening to radio programs improves my listening and pronunciation. At home, I sometimes record myself speaking about different topics. Then I listen to the recording and notice areas for improvement. Recording helps me hear my mistakes and work on my pronunciation. I also try to think in English during the day. For example, when I see a chair, I say to myself, "This is a chair. It is comfortable." Thinking in English helps me speak faster. One day, I helped a friend explain a problem with her computer. I said, "The computer is slow and freezes often." Helping others practice English makes learning enjoyable. I also practice polite expressions like, "Please," "Thank you," and "Excuse me." Using polite language makes conversations friendly. Sometimes I read simple articles online and learn new words. Reading improves my vocabulary and understanding. I also practice speaking by asking myself questions like, "What do I want to eat?" and answering in English. This helps me think and speak naturally. At the grocery store, I practice asking, "How much is this?" and "Do you accept credit cards?" Using English in real situations helps me learn faster. One afternoon, I went to the doctor's office. I told the nurse, "I have a headache and fever." Speaking about health helps me learn useful vocabulary. At home, I practice describing my family. I say, "My husband is a teacher. We have 2 children." Talking about family helps me use common words. I also practice pronunciation by reading short texts aloud. This helps with rhythm and stress. Sometimes I practice speaking by telling stories about my childhood or favorite memories. Talking about familiar topics helps me use past tense. One day I practiced asking for help. I said, "Can you please help me?" and "Could you explain that?" Asking for help shows I want to learn. At home, I write new words in a notebook and review them. Writing helps me remember vocabulary. I also practice speaking by describing pictures and scenes. I say, "The sky is blue and the grass is green." One afternoon, I went to a market and practiced buying fruits. I said, "I would like 3 apples, please." Practicing real-life conversations makes learning enjoyable. My friend David told me that practicing every day helps a lot. I agree and try to practice daily. Last month I started working as a junior IT support specialist at a mid-sized company. On my very first day, I faced a challenging situation that helped me improve my English communication skills quickly. A client called the help desk and said, "My computer won't start and I have an important report due in 1 hour." I needed to stay calm and professional. So, I replied, "I understand your asterisk, let me help you step by step. Can you tell me if you see any lights on the computer?" The client said, "No, the screen is completely black." I asked, "Is the computer plugged into the power source?" The client checked and said, "Oh, no, it's unplugged. I didn't notice." After plugging it in, the computer started. The client thanked me, and I realized that clear questions and calm responses help solve technical problems while making the customer feel supported. This experience taught me how important it is to listen carefully and use simple English to explain technical steps. Another day, a colleague named David asked me to help with a software installation. The instructions were all in English, and some parts were difficult to understand. I said to David, "Let's read the instructions together and take it one step at a time." We followed the steps slowly, and I explained the technical terms in simpler words. Like download means to get the program from the internet, and install means to set up the program on your computer. Breaking down complex instructions into easy language helped David feel confident. Later that week, I had to send an email to a client to schedule a software update. I wrote, "Dear Mr. Smith, I hope this message finds you well. We would like to schedule a software update on your system. Please let us know your preferred date and time. After sending the email, I practiced reading it aloud several times to improve my writing and pronunciation. I also learned that writing clear and polite emails is an essential part of tech work. One challenging moment came when a customer called, frustrated because their internet was not working. I said, "I'm sorry you're having trouble. Let's check some things together." I guided them through checking the modem lights and restarting the router. When the customer asked, "What is a router?" I explained, "It's a device that connects your home to the internet." Using simple explanations made the technical support easier to understand. I also learned that when I don't know an answer, it's okay to say, "Let me check and get back to you." Honesty builds trust with customers. For example, when a client asked about a specific software feature I wasn't sure about, I said, "That's a good question. I will find the information and email you shortly." Later, I researched and sent a clear response. This practice helped me improve my English writing and professionalism. In team meetings, I practiced speaking clearly about my tasks. I said, "I am working on fixing the email server issue. The problem is with the connection settings." Explaining technical problems in English helped my colleagues understand and support me. I also asked questions like, "Can you explain that part again?" when I didn't understand some technical details. One interesting situation was when I had to train a new employee, Lisa, who was also learning English. I prepared simple instructions and showed her how to reset passwords and manage user accounts. I said, "First open the control panel, then click on user accounts." Breaking instructions into small, clear steps made the training effective. I also encouraged Lisa to ask questions, saying, "If you don't understand, please ask me anytime." During a software upgrade, I had to write a short report. I started with, "The upgrade was completed successfully. All systems are working normally." Writing reports helped me practice formal English and technical vocabulary. Later, I read the report aloud to practice pronunciation. One day, a client called and said their printer was not working. I asked, "Is the printer connected to the computer?" The client said yes, but the printer was offline. I guided them to check the printer settings and restart both devices. I said, "Try turning the printer off and on again." After that, the printer started working. This situation showed me how to explain simple troubleshooting steps clearly. I also practiced explaining common technical problems to my husband, who is not an IT expert. I said, "Sometimes computers get slow because of too many programs running at once." I explained things like cache as temporary files that help programs run faster. Teaching others helped me use easy English and improve my speaking skills. In meetings, I learned to ask for clarification politely. For example, I said, "Could you please explain that again?" Or, "I'm not sure I understand. Can you give an example?" Asking for clarification helped me avoid mistakes and learn faster. When I had to give a presentation about cybersecurity basics, I prepared simple sentences like, "Use strong passwords to protect your accounts and do not share personal information online." Practicing these sentences helped me speak clearly and confidently in front of the team. Another time, I helped a colleague, Sarah, with her computer's slow performance. I said, "Let's check if your hard drive is almost full." I explained, "If the hard drive is full, the computer works slower." We deleted unnecessary files together. Explaining causes and solutions in simple English helped Sarah understand and feel more confident. I also learned that email communication in tech requires clarity and politeness. When replying to requests, I start with, "Thank you for your email," and end with, "Please let me know if you have any questions." This format shows professionalism and helps build good relationships. When a new software update caused issues, I created a list of problems and solutions. I wrote, "Problem, unable to log in." Solution, reset password. Writing clear lists helped me organize my thoughts and communicate effectively. In one call, a customer was very upset about losing files. I stayed calm and said, "I understand this is important. Let me help you recover the files." I guided the customer step by step, explaining each action simply. This helped me practice empathy and clear communication. When working remotely, I use video calls to explain technical problems. I say things like, "Please open the settings menu and click on Network." Using simple instructions over the phone or video helps clients follow easily. I also practice summarizing technical problems. For example, the issue is with the email server. It stops working every hour. Summarizing helps others understand quickly. One time, I helped a team member who had trouble understanding a software manual. I said, "Let me explain the main steps." I used examples in easy language. Helping others improved my teaching skills in English. I also learned to use polite language when saying no. For example, "I'm sorry. This feature is not available in the current version." Being polite even when giving negative news is important in tech support. When a client asked about software prices, I explained the basic version costs $50 per year. The premium version costs more and has extra features. Explaining prices clearly helped me practice numbers and business English. During team discussions, I practice agreeing and disagreeing politely. I say, "I agree with your idea." Or, "I see your point, but I think." These phrases help me express opinions clearly. One day, I had to explain network security to new employees. I said, "Use strong passwords and do not share them." I also explained what a firewall is in simple terms. A firewall protects your computer from harmful programs. Teaching basics helped me use simple and clear English. When writing emails, I learned to use templates. For example, "Dear name, thank you for contacting us. We will resolve your issue as soon as possible." Using templates saves time and improves writing consistency. I also practice pronunciation by reading technical documents aloud. This helps me say complex words like encryption and authentication correctly. When troubleshooting, I learn to ask precise questions. I say, "When did the problem start, and have you changed any settings recently?" Asking the right questions helps find solutions faster. During online meetings, I take notes in English. Writing helps me remember important points and practice my writing skills. One day, I helped set up a new employee's computer. I said, "First, connect the monitor to the CPU, then plug in the keyboard and mouse." Giving clear instructions helped me improve speaking skills. When explaining software updates, I say, "The update fixes security issues and improves speed." Using simple explanations helps non-technical people understand. I also learned to confirm understanding by saying, "Does that make sense?" or "Do you have any questions?" Confirming helps avoid confusion. When a client asked for help with password recovery, I guided them through the process step by step. I said, "Click on Forgot Password and follow the instructions." Giving clear steps builds trust. In team chats, I use short and clear messages like "issue resolved" or "working on it now." Writing concise messages helps quick communication. I also practice explaining error messages. For example, "This error means the server is down. Please try again later." Explaining errors clearly helps clients feel informed. When training new staff, I use simple language and examples. I say, to reset a password, go to Settings and click Reset. Using examples helps others learn faster. One time, I had to explain the importance of data backup. I said, backing up data means saving copies so you don't lose important files. Explaining technical ideas simply is key. I also practice polite reminders. For example, please remember to log out after using your computer. Polite reminders keep communication positive. During support calls, I repeat key points to ensure understanding. I say, "So, you will restart the router and check the connection." Repeating helps confirm instructions. When explaining software licenses, I say, "A license is permission to use the software." Clear definitions help clients understand. I also learn to be patient and encouraging. I say, "Take your time. I'm here to help." Encouragement makes clients feel comfortable. One afternoon, I helped a colleague with printer setup. I said, "Connect the USB cable to the computer and printer." Giving step-by-step help builds confidence. I practice writing technical FAQs with simple questions and answers. Writing FAQs helps improve my writing and client support. When explaining network issues, I say, "Sometimes the internet is slow because many people use it." At the same time, using everyday examples helps understanding. During meetings, I summarize action items. I say, "We will update the software by Friday." Summarizing helps keep the team informed. I also practice giving feedback. I say, "Good job on the report. Next time, add more details." Giving constructive feedback helps teamwork. One day, I helped a client set up email on their phone. I said, "Open the email app and enter your address and password." Clear instructions make setup easier. I also learn to use polite closing phrases in emails. I write, "Thank you for your cooperation and best regards." Politeness improves communication. When troubleshooting hardware, I say, "Check if the cables are connected properly." Simple instructions help solve problems quickly. I practice explaining software updates over the phone. I say, "The update improves security and fixes bugs." Clear explanations reduce confusion. During training, I encourage questions. I say, "Please ask if anything is unclear." Encouraging questions helps learning. One day, I explained cloud storage. I said, "Cloud storage means saving files on the internet, not just your computer." Using simple language helps explain new ideas. I also practice polite ways to ask for information. I say, "Could you please provide your username?" Polite questions build rapport. When handling complaints, I say, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Let me fix this for you." Apologizing politely helps calm upset clients. During support calls, I confirm next steps. I say, "I will send you an email with instructions." Clear communication avoids misunderstandings. I also practice explaining software features. I say, "This feature helps you organize your files better." Simple descriptions help users. When writing reports, I use clear language and short sentences. This makes reports easier to read. I practice speaking about deadlines. I say, "The project must be finished by next Monday." Talking about time helps planning skills. Point 1 afternoon, I helped a colleague reset a password. I said, click forgot password and follow the steps. Step-by-step help builds confidence. I also learned to use positive language. I say, great work, and thank you for your help. Positive words motivate the team. During meetings, I ask for opinions. I say, what do you think about this solution? Asking opinions helps teamwork. When explaining technical problems, I use examples. I say, it's like when your phone battery runs out. Examples help others understand. I also practice writing emails with clear subject lines. I write, subject, software update schedule. Clear subjects help email readers. When teaching new tools, I explain one step at a time. I say, first, open the program. Next, click on settings. Breaking down steps helps learning. When I started working as a network administrator, I quickly realized that communication is as important as technical knowledge. One morning, I received an urgent call from the sales department. They told me, our internet is very slow and we cannot send emails. I knew this could be a big problem. So I said, please remain calm. I will check the network immediately. I connected remotely to their computers and noticed heavy traffic on the network, caused by a large file download. I explained to the IT team, someone is downloading a big file which slows the network for everyone. I suggested they pause the download until after work hours. Using simple, clear language helped them understand the issue without confusion or panic. A few days later, I had to guide a new employee, James, through setting up a VPN connection to access company resources from home. James was nervous because he was not very confident in English. I told him, I will explain step by step and you can ask me anytime if you don't understand. I said, first, open the VPN software. Then enter your username and password. I noticed that James felt more comfortable when I used short sentences and repeated important instructions. After several tries, he connected successfully and thanked me. This experience taught me the value of patience and clear, slow speaking. Point 1. Challenging moment was when a client reported a recurring error message on their computer. They said, every time I open the program, I get an error. I asked them to describe the message and they struggled with some English words. I reassured them, it's okay. Can you tell me the first word you see on the screen? They said, failed. I explained this means the program cannot start. Step by step, I helped them understand the error and guided them through the solution. This situation improved my ability to explain technical problems in everyday language. In the office, I was asked to present a new security policy to staff. Since not everyone was a native English speaker, I prepared simple slides with pictures and short sentences. I said, always use strong passwords. Do not share your password with others. During the presentation, I asked questions like, who can tell me why passwords should be strong? Encouraging participation helped me. Practice asking and answering questions clearly. Point 1 afternoon, I helped my colleague Emily recover a deleted file. I said, first, open the recycle bin on your desktop. Emily looked confused, so I showed her where to find it. Then I explained, right-click on the file and choose Restore. After the file was recovered, Emily said, thank you. I didn't know this. Teaching coworkers simple computer skills helped me practice clear instructions and build confidence. Sometimes I have to write technical guides for new software tools. When I write, I try to use short sentences and avoid Jargon. For example, instead of initialize the application, I write open the program. Keeping language simple helps users understand and follow the instructions. When a server went down suddenly, I had to inform the management team quickly. I sent an email. The server is down due to power failure. Our team is working to restore it. We expect to be back online within 1 hour. Writing clear and brief updates helped keep everyone informed without causing unnecessary alarm. One day, I needed to explain a complicated software update to a client who was not very technical. I said, "This update fixes security problems and makes the program faster." The client asked, "Will it change how I use the software?" I replied, "No, the update works in the background. You will see no changes." Using simple explanations reassured the client and improved my communication skills. In a team meeting, I had to give feedback on a new app design. I said, "I like the layout, but the buttons are too small." I suggested, "Make the buttons bigger for easier use." Giving clear and polite feedback helped the team improve the design and practice constructive communication. One busy day, the help desk received many calls about password problems. I helped users by saying, "If you forgot your password, click Forgot Password and follow the instructions." Some users were confused, so I offered to guide them step by step. This taught me how to be patient and use repetition to help people understand. That I also learned the importance of active listening during support calls. One client was explaining a slow computer, but I realized the real problem was low disk space. I said, "Let me check your disk space." After freeing up space, the computer worked faster. Listening carefully helps find real problems and solve them effectively. During training sessions, I use role-play to help new employees practice common scenarios. For example, I pretend to be a customer asking for help, and the trainee practices answering politely and clearly. Role-playing builds confidence and improves English speaking skills. I also handle email requests for software installations. I write, "Thank you for your request. Please provide your computer's operating system and version." Asking for specific information helps process requests faster and teaches me to write clear emails. One morning, a user called with a virus infection problem. I asked, "Do you see any strange messages or pop-ups?" The user said yes. I guided them through running antivirus software. I said, "Open the antivirus program and click Scan." After the scan, the problem was solved. Explaining security steps clearly is important in tech support. In remote meetings, I practice speaking slowly and clearly. I use phrases like, "Can everyone see my screen?" and "Please mute your microphones when not speaking." Clear communication helps meetings run smoothly. Sometimes I help translate technical terms for coworkers. For example, I explain that a firewall is a security tool that protects the network. Using simple language helps non-technical people understand better. When a client asked about software features, I prepared a short list with explanations. I wrote, Feature 1. Easy-to-use dashboard. Feature 2. Automatic backups. Listing features clearly helps clients understand benefits. I also handle requests for password resets. I say, "Please provide your username. I will send you a link to reset your password." Clear instructions and polite language make the process smooth. During problem-solving calls, I confirm each step by saying, "Please try this and tell me what happens." Confirming helps avoid confusion and speeds up solutions. One day, I helped a team member who was confused by a new tool. I said, "Let me show you how to create a new file." I demonstrated step by step. Teaching others improves my explanation skills. I also practice writing reports on system status. I write, "All systems are operational. No issues detected." Short, clear sentences make reports easy to understand. In conversations, I learn to use polite requests like, "Could you please restart your computer?" Polite language helps build positive relationships. One afternoon, I helped a user set up email on a mobile device. I said, "Open the email app and enter your username and password." Step-by-step instructions help users feel confident. When explaining software updates, I say, "This update fixes bugs and adds new features." Simple explanations make technical changes easy to understand. I also practice asking for feedback. I say, "Did the solution work for you? Is there anything else I can help with?" Asking for feedback shows care and professionalism. During team calls, I summarize tasks by saying, "I will complete the report by Friday." Summarizing helps keep everyone on the same page. I also explain data backup importance by saying, "Backing up data protects you from losing important files." Simple explanations help people understand. When troubleshooting printers, I say, "Check if the printer is turned on and connected." Clear questions help find solutions. One day, I helped a client with slow internet. I asked, "How many devices are connected, and have you tried restarting the router?" Asking questions guides problem solving. In meetings, I practice agreeing politely. I say, "I agree with your suggestion," or "That's a good idea." Positive language supports teamwork. When writing emails, I use polite closings like, "Best regards," and "Thank you for your cooperation." Politeness improves communication. I also help new employees by creating simple user guides. I write step-by-step instructions with screenshots. Clear guides help learning. One morning, I helped reset a user's password. I said, "Click Forgot Password," and follow the instructions. Step-by-step help builds confidence. During support calls, I use encouraging language. I say, "You're doing great, and let's try one more step." Encouragement makes users feel supported. I also practice speaking about deadlines. I say, "The project is due next Monday." Talking about time helps when explaining network security. I say, "Use strong passwords and do not share them." Simple advice helps protect data. I write status updates like, "Server maintenance scheduled for Saturday at 10 p.m. Clear updates keep users informed. I help colleagues with software problems by explaining solutions simply. I say, "Try closing and reopening the program." Simple steps often solve problems. During meetings, I ask questions like, "Do you have any concerns?" Asking questions encourages discussion. I also practice explaining technical terms with examples. I say, "A firewall is like a security guard for your computer." Examples make ideas clear. When sending emails, I use clear subject lines like subject, password, reset, instructions. Clear subjects help recipients understand emails quickly. I help train new users by showing them one step at a time. I say, "First open the program, then click Settings." Breaking tasks into steps helps learning. 1 day I helped fix email issues by asking, "Have you checked your internet connection?" Simple questions guide troubleshooting. When I first started as a systems analyst, I was eager but also nervous about communicating technical problems clearly. One morning my manager asked me to explain why the company's database was running slowly. I prepared carefully and said the database is slow because of high traffic and inefficient queries. Then I explained high traffic means many users are trying to access data at the same time. I used simple examples to help non-technical managers understand, like comparing the database to a busy highway with many cars causing traffic jams. This approach helped me realize the power of using everyday language and tech explanations. A few weeks later, I worked with a developer named Mark on a software bug. Mark told me the program crashes when users upload large files. I suggested, let's test uploading small files first to find where the problem happens. We ran tests and found the error occurred when files were over 50 megabytes. I wrote a clear bug report saying, the software crashes for files larger than 50 megabytes during upload. Writing detailed and precise reports taught me how to communicate clearly with technical teams. One busy day, I received an urgent email from the customer support team. They wrote, several clients report that they cannot log in. I immediately checked the authentication server and found it was down. I sent a quick message, we are aware of the login issue. Our team is working on it and expects to fix it within 30 minutes. Keeping the communication timely and professional helped reduce client frustration. I also remember a time when I had to train a group of staff on new software tools. I noticed some people felt lost with the technical terms. I decided to create a glossary with simple definitions, like login means entering your username and password. During the training, I said, if you don't understand a word, check the glossary. Or ask me. Providing extra support helped everyone keep up and practice their English in a tech context. One afternoon, I helped a client remotely who was struggling to set up email on a tablet. The client said, I can't find the email app. I guided them by saying, look for an icon with an envelope. After finding it, I explained how to enter their email address and password. We took it step by step and the client said, thank you. Now I can check emails on my tablet. Helping clients like this boosted my confidence and improved my spoken English. In team meetings, I often summarize discussions to ensure understanding. For example, I say, so, the main points are to update software weekly and backup data daily. Summarizing helps everyone stay focused and makes communication clearer. Once a user called worried because they accidentally deleted important files. I reassured them, don't worry. Let's check the recycle bin first. I guided them through restoring the files. The user was relieved and said, thank you for your help. This experience taught me to be patient and calm in stressful situations. At work, I frequently write emails to confirm appointments or report progress. I use polite language. Like, Dear Miss Johnson, I would like to confirm our meeting scheduled for Tuesday. Writing professional emails has improved both my English and my work relationships. During software testing, I often explain issues to developers. I say, the app crashes when I click the save button after entering a long description. Being specific and clear helps the team fix problems faster. One day, a client asked if our software could generate reports automatically. I replied, yes, you can schedule reports to run daily or weekly. Explaining features simply helps clients understand product benefits. I also learned the importance of follow-up emails. After helping a client, I write, please let me know if you have any further questions. This shows care and encourages ongoing communication. When working with international teams, I try to speak slowly and avoid slang. I say, let's review the project timeline. Clear speech helps avoid misunderstandings. I once helped a coworker who was nervous about speaking English in meetings. I told her it's okay to speak slowly and ask for help. Supporting colleagues builds a positive work environment. During technical workshops, I use real examples to explain concepts. For instance, I say, think of a server like a library where information is stored and shared. Using analogies makes technical ideas easier to grasp. I also practice writing step-by-step guides. For example, Step 1, open the Settings menu. Step 2, click on Network. Clear instructions help users complete tasks independently. When a system update caused errors, I communicated quickly with the team. The update caused login issues. We are rolling back to the previous version. Prompt and clear communication minimizes disruption. One time I helped a client configure email filters. I said filters help organize emails automatically. I showed them how to create rules. Teaching practical skills improves client satisfaction and my English skills. I also use visuals like screenshots in emails and guides. Images combined with short explanations help users understand better. During phone support, I confirm actions by saying, please press the Enter key. Confirming instructions ensures users follow correctly. When explaining software pricing, I say, the basic plan costs $10 per month and includes email support. Clear information helps clients make decisions. In meetings, I encourage quiet team members to share ideas by saying, what do you think, Sarah? Encouraging participation builds confidence. I also practice polite refusal. When asked for impossible tasks, I say, unfortunately, this feature is not available, but I can suggest alternatives. Being polite maintains good relationships. 1 day I wrote a troubleshooting FAQ. Questions included, what to do if the program does not start? Answers were simple and clear. Writing FAQs helps many users and improves my writing skills. I helped a colleague install new software. I said, double-click the installer and follow the prompts. Step-by-step guidance makes installation easier. When handling multiple tasks, I write daily to-do lists. Writing helps organize my work and practice English. I also practice reporting bugs with details. I write error occurs when uploading files larger than 10 megabytes. Precise reports help developers fix issues faster. During video calls, I ask, can you hear me clearly? To ensure good communication. I helped a user reset their password by sending a reset link. I wrote, please check your email and follow the link to change your password. Clear emails reduce confusion. In team chats, I use short, clear messages like issue resolved or restarting the server now. Concise messages speed up communication. I also practice explaining error codes. For example, error 404 means the page was not found. Simple explanations help users understand technical issues. When training new staff, I use quizzes to test understanding. Quizzes make learning interactive and fun. One day I explained the importance of software updates. I said updates fix bugs and improve security. Simple reasons help users accept changes. I help clients with Wi-Fi problems by saying try moving closer to the router. Simple tips solve many issues. I also write clear meeting agendas with topics and times. Agendas keep meetings organized. During calls, I use phrases like, thank you for waiting. To be polite, I helped a client connect a printer by explaining, connect the USB cable and turn on the printer. Simple steps help non-technical users. When sending emails, I use bullet points to list tasks. Bullet points improve readability. I practice explaining cloud storage by saying cloud storage saves files online so you can access them from any device. Simple language helps explain new concepts. In meetings, I repeat key points to confirm understanding. Repetition ensures clarity. I also help colleagues prepare presentations by reviewing their slides and suggesting simpler language. One time, I assisted a user with software crashes. I asked, "Have you installed any new programs recently?" Asking questions helps identify causes. When writing reports, I use headings like problem, cause, and solution. Clear structure improves readability. I encourage feedback by saying, "Please let me know if you find any other issues." Feedback helps improve services. I helped a client update antivirus software. I said, "Open the antivirus program and click Update." Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the English Pod community. I hope these stories about how tech professionals handle different situations have helped you improve your English speaking and comprehension skills. Remember, clear communication, patience, and using simple language are key to success in both technology and English learning. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. We upload new English learning videos every day to help you grow your skills step by step. Keep practicing, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next episode. This is Natasha signing off. Have a great day.